Alright, Ronin MMA, welcome back to the channel. And the UFC 299 wrapped up over the weekend. I did a fight companion for the entire event start to finish, but I would still like to do a recap here and now. So let us get started right away with the first fight of the night, which was Joanne Wood versus Marina Moroz. Now this was a good performance by Joanne Wood. She had a tough first round and was able to bounce back, and in my opinion, winning rounds 2 and rounds 3. I do believe it was a split decision, but I did score the fight for Joanne Wood, and I actually picked Marina Moroz to beat her, if that's worth anything, okay? Now, she clearly had the most damaging shot of the entire fight and the most exciting moment, which was that spinning back fist late in the third round, almost knocking out Marina Moroz. It was, in my opinion, a good performance to announce her retirement on, so congratulations to Joanne Wood. She is a very nice lady, and I hope all the best for her in her retirement. Moving up the card, 2, CJ Vergara versus ALMABAEV. Now, I picked ALMABAEV to get this one done. I thought he might be able to find the finish, but he was not able to do so. CJ Vergara is a relatively tough guy, and the guys that have been able to submit him typically have a bit of a size advantage over him, which ALMABAEV did not, but he was pretty good on his takedowns, 9 for 14, was able to acquire a bit of control time, and also was able to land the more significant strikes throughout all 3 rounds pretty much. So good performance by ALMABAEV, especially considering he is relatively small even for the flyweight division. Now moving up the card, 2, Robelis Despaign, or whatever dude, versus Josh Parisian. Great first performance by Robelis Despaign, lived up to the hype, at the very least, against Josh Parisian. Okay, he was running backwards, right, and he was still managed to clip him hard enough to put him down. And at first I kind of had a bit of a problem with the stoppage, but upon the replay I realized no, Josh Parisian was definitely done. I think it was a perfectly fine stoppage, but regardless, dude, great debut for Robelis Despaign, an exciting addition to the UFC's heavyweight division, and hopefully they match him up well. Going forward, I would like to see him fight somebody a little bit better than Josh Parisian, you know, before I buy into the hype completely and totally, because the way that he was running backwards, I could potentially see somebody in the heavyweight division that maybe has better fight IQ than Josh Parisian, maybe better grappling or takedowns than Josh Parisian, shooting a takedown and managing to take him down, and then we will see what happens, you know, when he gets taken down. Anyways, dude, moving up the card to Michel Pereira versus Michael OLEKSIEJCZUK. Now, I picked OLEKSIEJCZUK to win because he was a slight underdog. The dude has a ton of finishes inside the UFC, 6 knockouts, and he's fought at light heavyweight, right? Whereas Michel Pereira fought at welterweight, which is insane when you see these two standing side by side and you realize one fought at welterweight, one fought at light heavyweight. Not just fought at light heavyweight, but has knockouts at light heavyweight. Now, this was a beautiful performance by Michel Pereira, and I am stunned. I have no idea why this man ever fought at welterweight, dude. He looks so much better in every aspect at middleweight. I did not like his entrance, the whole dance routine. I find that to be a little bit cringe, even though he did follow it up with a nice finish. I still find it to be cringe, okay? But regardless, dude, I don't really care. What he did inside the octagon matters more. Hurt Michael OLEKSIEJCZUK with a beautiful straight to the body. Followed it up with a pretty good barrage, including a knee to the body, which you could see kind of curled Michael OLEKSIEJCZUK over quite a bit. And Michel Pereira was able to wrap up the neck and get a rear naked choke finish in the first round. It was a great performance by Michel Pereira. He looks so much better at middleweight, and I'm very excited to see him moving forward. Moving up the card, 2, Ion Cutelaba versus Felipe Lins. This was an alright fight. Now, Ion Cutelaba did what Ion Cutelaba does best, and he went full retard, bro. And you never go forward. I don't know, man. He doesn't set anything up. He kind of just plots forward. Now, he did land more strikes overall, but it's all, you know, in that third round. Basically, Felipe Lins, in my opinion, was able to get the first 2 rounds pretty easily and handedly, but regardless, dude, it was an okay fight, I guess, considering the size of the gentleman. They didn't completely and totally gas out. You know, they were still able to make it relatively entertaining in that third round, but you know, it is what it is. Good performance by Felipe Lins. Was able to avoid most of the big shots that Ion Cutelaba threw his way and was looking good on the feet, and also didn't look all that bad on the ground either. Moving up the card, 2, Pedro Munhoz versus Kyler Phillips, pardon me. Okay, this was another underdog that I picked, and I was pretty confident in this one with Pedro Munhoz, picking Pedro Munhoz over Kyler Phillips, because I thought that Kyler Phillips' performance against Raoni Barcelos left a lot to be desired, at the very least, in my opinion. In my opinion, Kyler Phillips throws a lot of flashy stuff that doesn't really work. I think there's maybe one example of it actually working within the UFC, and that was against Song Yadong. But regardless, in this fight, he tried a little bit of it. None of it really landed. But he, for the vast majority of the fight, stuck to the fundamentals and did a very good job at doing so. Was able to manage the range. Pedro Munhoz wasn't really able to get inside and land the shots that he likes to land. Also, something that Kyler Phillips did that I thought was very good. Now, he switches stances a lot, But even when he was in a position for Pedro Munhoz to attack that low leg kick, which Pedro Munhoz does love to do, pardon me, Kyler Phillips was able to check a few of those kicks, which I think kind of dissuade or, you know, Pedro Munhoz didn't want to throw them, dude. Discouraged him was the word I was looking for. Discouraged Pedro Munhoz from attacking that low leg kick more than he was already trying to do, because we see Pedro Munhoz throw a ton of low leg kicks in almost every single fight that he's been in. I didn't keep track, but he did not throw very many in this one. Kyler Phillips was responsible defensively speaking, was able to keep Pedro Munhoz at the range that he wanted, and was able to just, you know, win essentially every single round. And it was a great performance. And in my opinion, he has improved since his last few fights, because again, for me, he left a lot to be desired. I was like, okay, this kid is flashy and whatever, maybe it could be fun potentially, but you know, Raoni Barcelos was able to hurt him a couple of times, and I don't know, man, he didn't look as fast against Raoni Barcelos. He looked a lot better in this fight. So good for Kyler Phillips. Great win. I thought he was going to lose, so good on him, dude. Moving up the card too, Mateusz Gamrot versus Rafael dos Anjos. Bro, I tell you what, Mateusz Gamrot gets the win as a massive favorite in one of the most underwhelming performances, in my opinion. I hate to be salty or a hater, because RDA almost got him out of there in the first round, which was not a great look considering the age of Rafael dos Anjos, okay, compared to Mateusz Gamrot, compared to where they are in the rankings, compared to where they are in their careers. And then Mateusz Gamrot, for the rest of the fight, essentially looked like Muhammad Mokaev, where he was just like panic shooting, grabbing a hold of legs on Rafael dos Anjos, and was able to, you know, fair enough, take him down, hold him down, keep him down, and barely do a whole lot of damage. You know, he landed quite a few strikes, but it's just underwhelming for me, dude. I don't like that style, right? I just don't like it. And I feel like if we had a different rule set in the UFC, if we maybe bought into one championship's rule set, we would see a little bit less of this. But regardless, dude, good win for Mateusz Gamrot. He was kind of fucked over having to take this fight anyways, right? Especially if you look at where he is in the rankings, the fact that he weighed in as a backup fighter for a title fight. Do you know what I mean? And then they ended up not even going with him as the backup. It's crazy. But, you know, good on him, I guess, right? Win over RDA. It is what it is. It's a good vet, you know. So, good performance by Mateusz Gamrot, I guess, dude. Moving up the card, too. Caitlin CERMINARA, or whatever the fuck, Caitlin Marinara versus, you know, Macy Barber, okay? I picked Macy Barber to get this one done. She looked improved in her last fight also. And, you know, I earlier on in Macy Barber's career was very slanderous towards her, because it was very frustrating watching her throw kicks from about 15 feet away from her opponent, not sending it up, just completely naked head kicks that are nowhere near landing. It was just very, very frustrating. And she does it with her punches as well. There's either way, dude. She looks much improved. In my opinion, she was able to win at least. I think she won rounds 1 and rounds 3, in my opinion. Did the more, she was just doing more, dude. She was going forward, landing the more damaging strikes. She was able to get takedowns and do a bit of work off of the ground, and just, I thought, got the job done. I don't even think it was a split decision. It was a decent performance by Macy Barber, especially considering Katlyn Chookagian, I'm just going to call her by her fucking maiden name because I have no idea how to pronounce this one, has been able to turn back a lot of girls that are like, you know, oh, she could potentially get a title shot if she beats Katlyn Chookagian, and then Katlyn Chookagian kind of just shows them up, shows them levels, I guess, so to speak, right? She's able to keep them at range, do her little pitter-patter. Something that drives me crazy about Katlyn Chookagian is the amount of ki-awing she does when she's not really hurting anybody, right? But in recent times, we've only seen her really get beat up badly by Valentina Shevchenko and also Jessica Andrade with the nasty body shots. No girl really in that weight class hits like Jessica Andrade does, so it's, you know, somewhat understandable, but regardless, dude. Good performance by Macy Barber. A very good opponent to beat to jump up in the rankings, right? Macy Barber should be within the top 5 of the flyweight division. We could potentially see her fighting for a title at some point in the nearish future. So good for her to continue improving. She is very young, to be fair, so maybe I was a little, you know, maybe I was a little judgmental of her at a young age in regards to her technique and things like that, but she does seem to continue to improve. So moving up the card to Curtis Blaydes versus Jailton Almeida. I picked Curtis Blaydes to get this one done. I thought it was going to be on the feet for the most part because I didn't think that Jailton Almeida would be able to successfully take Curtis Blaydes down. And then I didn't think that Curtis Blaydes would want to take Jailton Almeida down and risk playing the jiu-jitsu game with a guy like Jailton Almeida. But almost immediately, Jailton Almeida was shooting on Curtis Blaydes, okay? And then eventually, Curtis Blaydes, I believe in round 2, if I'm not mistaken. The UFC's website won't load. I'm pretty sure it was round 2. Either fucking way, dude. Doesn't matter. Round 2 yep, round 2. Jailton Almeida shoots, and Curtis Blaydes goes full fucking Donkey Kong like he's playing Smash Bros, okay? He just hammer-fisted away, pounding like that, and put Jailton Almeida to sleep. And honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it, because Jailton Almeida was basically planning on doing to Curtis Blaydes what he did to Derek Lewis for the entirety of that fight, which is unbelievably boring, okay? So, if he wasn't able to sub Derek Lewis, I was very, very skeptical that he would be able to sub Curtis Blaydes, which is ultimately why I went with him, because I thought that if the fight remains on the feet, Curtis Blaydes has the edge there, has the power edge, has the even striking fundamental edge, and it didn't really need, there wasn't much stand-up involved, but regardless, dude, great win for Curtis Blaydes, turning back Jailton Almeida, who had a bunch of hype on him, even after that shit performance over Derek Lewis. Good win for Curtis Blaydes. Moving up the card, 2. Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. Dude, fuck yeah, buddy. Petr Yan is back. What a dude, this fight showed how good bantamweight is, in my opinion, or, we see that quite frequently, but even guys ranked number 4 and number 7 are so goddamn skilled in almost every single aspect. It's just unbelievable to watch. I thought Song Yadong took the first round from Petr Yan, but Petr Yan, something that I really enjoyed from him was he did not start as slowly as he typically does. And I said that in my picks video that I hope he starts a little bit quicker, because we've got 3 rounds this time, not 5, right? And that oftentimes can, while I understand he's making reads and things like that, and he's not rushing his offense, can kind of change the momentum of a fight, right? If you get blown out in the first round, it's going to be harder. Now you're playing catch up, essentially. You've got to win the next 2 rounds, especially when we're talking about a 3-round fight. Now, Song Yadong looked pretty good, but something that Petr Yan is very good. He keeps a hand real close to here, and a lot of the jabs that were coming on behalf of Song Yadong were getting very slightly deflected. Petr Yan's not doing the big slaps the way that we might see a guy like Sean Strickland doing, but he's kind of just tapping, deflecting them. Not a whole lot are landing cleanly, and he was able to get out of the way or roll with a lot of Song Yadong's big shots, even the ones that did land. Round 2, Petr Yan starts to pick up the pace. One of the most fucking beautifully timed takedowns I have ever seen in my life. Something that we forget how good he is at shit like that, because we get to see his boxing so frequently. His boxing is so good that, when he does do something like that, you're like, oh yeah, fuck, he can do that too. Do you know what I mean? Something else that I noticed about Petr Yan, which didn't affect him all that much, but it could potentially moving forward depending on the opponent, is he seems to have like PTSD, okay, from that MOROZ fight. And every single time Song Yadong feinted a level change, Petr Yan would like spaz the fuck out like an inflatable arm flailing tube man, like ready to defend the takedown. Now, it didn't end up costing him a whole lot in this fight. He was just completely and totally ready for the takedown. And again, round 2 performance was absolutely stunning. Cut one of Song's eyes. In the next round, cut the other eye. Got the takedown at the end of the fight. Was elbowing him and shit. Beautiful performance by Petr Yan. Great performance. And I did pick him to get this one done. I had faith in Petr Yan. He may have been 0-3 in his last 3. 2 of those, you could argue, he should have won, right? The Sean O'Malley one, very close. A lot of people think that he lost it. The Aljamain Sterling rematch, a lot of people think that Sean O'Malley lost that one, rather that Petr Yan should have gotten the nod. And in the Aljamain Sterling rematch, a lot of people, actually including myself, thought that he did more work in round 1, or at the very least the better work, the more qualitative work in round 1, and should have potentially gotten that one as well. So it wasn't like he was getting totally fucking blown out every time, right? Every loss. The MOROZ one was bad, but I had faith that he was going to be able to beat Song Yadong, and I wonder how choked Uriah Faber is right now. Anyways, dude, moving up the card, 2. Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. Holy shit, dude. I picked Jack Della Maddalena to get this one done. He was a very slight favorite when I picked him. I think he ended up being a bit of a bigger favorite towards actual fight time. Now, when I was watching it live, there were people in my chat that were saying that Jack Della Maddalena was down 2-zip. I didn't think so. But I guess he very well could have been, okay? Because Gilbert Burns was able to do some stuff on the ground. He was able to get the back and things like this. So he was doing good work. But in my opinion, JDM, at least in rounds 2, I thought it was 1-1 going into the 3rd. In round 2, JDM was able to land a lot more combinations. He was landing, in my opinion, the better shots, the harder shots, the more significant shots. And while Gilbert Burns was able to take him down and, you know, threaten a choke, it wasn't ever really close. And this is something that I've noticed a lot. I think, in my opinion, dude, Jack Della Madalena's jiu-jitsu coach, or somebody who he's been training with a lot frequently, Craig Jones, is one of the most underrated jiu-jitsu coaches in the entire fucking sport. Gilbert Burns, theoretically, when you look at their credentials in terms of jiu-jitsu, should have been able to get Jack Della Maddalena out of there the way that he got Neil Magny out of there, the way that, you know, tons of guys that once he gets down, he smushes and he ends up submitting. I said in my picks video, Craig Jones, who trains with Jack Della Maddalena, trains jiu-jitsu with Jack Della Maddalena, subbed Gilbert Burns in about 40 seconds, okay? And I know that Craig Jones is a big dude, right? And he's a specialist. He's a, like, absolute phenomenal jiu-jitsu practitioner. Not the same as a fight, but I think he has a great mind for mixed martial arts, and I think that we have seen this, especially when it comes to cage wrestling and cage grappling. He's fucking brilliant, in my opinion. But I think a good example of this is Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. That's when he started training with Craig Jones, and he was able to escape a very, very tight guillotine and a very tight triangle, both, right, and able to get up and then smash Brian Ortega from top position. And then Volkanovski against Islam in the first fight, where even in the second fight, dude, the ground wasn't ever really a factor. In round 4, yes, Islam was able to take him down, take the back, but he wasn't able to submit him. Volkanovski has very good submission defense. Jack Della Maddalena showed a little bit of that as well. And also, the sweeps and the scrambles that he was creating once it got to the ground was phenomenal and made it hard for Burns to actually, like, establish a very dominant position where he would be able to then, you know, work from there. Now, something that I don't like from Jack Della Maddalena, I'll give a slight criticism here, something that I noticed at the very least. He seemed to be very slow to react to the actual takedown itself, but it didn't cost him a whole lot, because once he got there, he was able to scramble his way out of it or sweep Burns and get back to his feet or get to a better position and what have you. But when it came to the actual takedown itself, it seemed like his reaction was delayed. Burns would go to grab a leg and JDM was kind of like, oh, and once Burns grabbed his leg, then he started defending, which is like, well, it's kind of too late now. Do you know what I mean? Burns didn't have a whole lot of trouble taking Jack Della Maddalena down. So, in my opinion, it was 1-1 going into the third round. A lot of people thought Burns was up 2-0 and that this was a comeback. Maybe that was the case. I have not looked at the judges' scorecards. However, Jack Della Maddalena, dude, holy fucking shit, what a finish. And also, dude, fuck Dan Miragliotta. Get him out of here. This guy's a menace to society, okay? This same fuck took a point from Michael Venom Page for showboating during a fight, pretending to take a selfie. I don't even like Michael Venom Page, and I think that that's out of pocket. He took a point from Michael Venom Page for shit-talking during a fight. Again, I don't like Michael Venom Page. I think that's out of pocket. There are plenty of more examples we can think of Dan Miragliotta inserting himself into a fight where it's like he wants the story to be about him. Or even after Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman too. They're trying to have their fucking moment, okay? And Dan Miragliotta breaks it up because he's uncomfortable with his own sexuality, the fucking idiot, okay? He let Gilbert Burns take way too much damage, in my opinion. Beautifully timed knee by Jack Della Maddalena, who had just scrambled, beautifully swept Gilbert Burns, gotten back to his feet when he absolutely needed to, because had he lost that round, in my opinion, regardless, he would have lost that fight. Knew Gilbert Burns was going to shoot immediately, and he threw that knee, and he timed it perfectly, hurt Gilbert Burns bad, followed it up with a ton of elbows, and Dan Miragliotta went full fucking Mazzagatti, stood there and looked at it, and went, yup, sounds, you know, looks, checks out, boys. We're not done yet, okay? Fuck Dan Miragliotta. Point blank, period. Horrible referee, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are on the Mark Goddard hate train, okay? Fuck Dan Miragliotta. Because Gilbert Burns should not be taking that kind of damage. Gilbert Burns is a beloved figure within the UFC. Gilbert Burns was crying outside the octagon, being consoled by fucking RoboCop, okay? Had he not taken so much damage, like we've seen this, right? DC took a fuck ton of damage against John Jones, and he's crying in the octagon, right? Gilbert Burns was bawling, pretty much, getting consoled by RoboCop. I feel as though if he had not taken so much extra damage, we wouldn't get that picture. We wouldn't get that scene. Do you know what I mean? It bugged me a lot, okay? Because I'm a fan of Gilbert Burns. I picked Jack Della Maddalena to win. Very impressive finish. He even seemed a little bit hesitant, like, what... The most gangster shit of all time, though, Jack Della Maddalena. He's that guy, pal. Called out Shavkat Rakhmonov. How many welterweights are calling out Shavkat Rakhmonov? Do you know what I mean? And considering that one of the areas that Jack Della Maddalena is actually lacking is takedown defense, that is a scary, scary fight. But I do potentially, I could potentially see a path to victory for Jack Della Maddalena because his boxing is so good, dude. His leg kick defense is good. His kicks are good. His combinations are beautiful. Body, head, all, dude. Jack Della Maddalena is that fucking guy, pal. Also, I don't understand, man. He should be getting the same kind of push from the UFC that a guy like Ian Gary is, because in my opinion, this performance over Gilbert Burns absolutely blows away the performance that we just witnessed from Ian the Vegan Magato Cherry over fucking Jeff Neal. Do you know what I mean? Jack Della Maddalena is that guy, pal. And a wonderful call out at the end that I very much appreciated. Either way, dude, I spent enough time on that fight. Moving up the card, too. Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page. All right, dude. Now, I did pick against Michael Venom Page because if you look at his fucking record, I'm going to justify it, okay? If you look at his record, the only time we see an impressive performance is against nobodies, okay? It turns out Kevin Holland's a nobody. I'm just kidding a little bit, but also, what the fuck, dude, okay? Every time Michael Venom Page has to fight a good fighter, right, or a decent fighter, even an aging decent fighter, like a Paul Daly, right, split decision. Logan Storley, split decision, right? Gilbert, Jesus Christ, dude. Who slept him? Why can't I think of his name off the top of my head? That's driving me crazy, dude. Diego something. Fuck Christ. Hold on 1 second, dude. It doesn't matter. Douglas Lima. That's who I was thinking of. My bad. How could I not think of that immediately? Gets slept, right? And then comes back in a split decision, right? Every time he fights a good opponent or a decent opponent, it's an underwhelming performance from Michael Venom Page. And in between those losses, they give him cans to get his highlight reel up. Also, I do have a lot of disdain for this man, as I mentioned in the last fight talking about Dan Miragliotta. Michael Venom Page advocates for fines when it comes to trash talk, which I find unbelievably fucking retarded and also hypocritical from a guy that throws a Pokeball at a dude whose skull he just caved in. Quite literally, okay? But regardless, this was a good performance, okay? Credit where it's due. He had a good performance against Kevin Holland, frustrated the shit out of him, and then Kevin Holland is one of those sore losers who seems like he is, as soon as some level of adversity comes his way, he wants to find a way out or a way to make it seem like it's not his fault that he's not able to get the job done. An example of this would be in the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight, right? When he did break his hand, he walked over to the crowd, was showing his boys in the crowd, Jamal Hill and them, talking about it in the corner, what have you. I can't throw the right hand, all this shit. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson had worse broken hands than he did in that fight. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson didn't say a fucking word. He even went and consoled my Kevin Holland in regards to his broken hand. Holy shit, man, look at this. Called his dad over. Oh, it's, you know, tough luck, all this, whatever. Meanwhile, his hands are just as fucking swollen inside his UFC gloves, right? Stuff like that, where he'll find it reminds me honestly of Anthony Pettis. Oh, I shattered my fist, bro. Meanwhile, no x-rays ever come out. Do you know what I mean? He's done this on multiple occasions. But either way, dude. Michael Venom Page frustrated the shit out of Kevin Holland. And if you look at the total strikes, it actually says Kevin Holland landed more. And I don't understand how on God's green earth the statistics could say that. But it doesn't matter because Michael Venom Page clearly had the more damaging blows. That little spinning elbow that he did was quite beautiful. Holland's got a hell of a chin. I'll give him that. Do you know what I mean? You know, people are going to say I'm just hating on him, dude. I still feel like when he moves forward in the rankings, he's going to get fucked by somebody. Not literally. He'll get beat up badly. Do you know what I mean? Kevin Holland, fundamentals weren't great. Almost reminded me of the Brandon Royval, Brandon Moreno fight where Brandon Moreno's just winging one big overhand, right? He couldn't find Michael Venom Page. The movement frustrated him. The range frustrated him. He's not used to having a guy be that tall and that lanky. You know, he's used to having those advantages, and he wasn't able to do fucking anything. So good on Michael Venom Page for coming in and getting a good win in his UFC debut, right? We have seen this before, Michael Chandler, and, you know, he's gone on to lose more than he's won. But it is what it is, dude. Okay? We will see. Whoever they match him up against next, I'll probably pick against Michael Venom Page if I'm being fucking honest, dude. But hey, I may be biased. I come by it honestly. Moving up the card. 2. Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis. Dude, I picked Dustin Poirier to get this one done. Now, something I want to immediately address, okay, is all of the people who are now using the staph infection and the fact that Benoit Saint-Denis was on antibiotics as an excuse, okay? We all saw the geyser that was on his forehead. We all saw it. None of you changed your picks, okay? When I made my picks video, I gave a whole host of reasons as to why I was going to pick Dustin Poirier, and at the very end, because I did not want it to be the main focal point, was Benoit Saint-Denis also seems to have staph infection. So I was heavily leaning Dustin, and that sealed it for me. It was the straw that broke the camel's back rather than the reason why I actually picked Dustin Poirier, okay? But now that Dustin Poirier won, everybody seems to be making excuses, okay? And I don't understand it. If you saw the fucking crater on his head, change your pick, bro. Do you know what I mean? But you didn't, so it is what it is. The reason I picked Dustin Poirier to win is because Benoit Saint-Denis is reckless when he enters, especially in terms of striking, right? His grappling is very good, and this is why I don't understand how people are now using that as an excuse. He looked phenomenal, dude. He dominated Dustin in the grappling. Now, Dustin Poirier jumped a fuck ton of guillotines that he probably shouldn't have done. However, dude, I've been thinking about it a little bit more, and while it does seem unbelievably stupid, because at a high level it is very hard to wrap up a guillotine, right? If you are going to get taken down anyways, I feel like it's almost better for it to be on your terms, right? Now you've hit the mat. Your opponent is not in a dominant position per se. He's having to fight out of a choke, right? And then it even when he gets out of the choke, it kind of creates a bit of a moment of chaos, a scramble, a pause that you're able to work and, you know, scramble, try to get to a hip or what have you and get back up. So I was getting very frustrated in the moment watching Dustin constantly jump these guillotines that were not working. But upon thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe even if it's not just for the finish, it could potentially be beneficial for him, especially if you're going to get taken down anyways. At least you're doing it on your own term. I'm going to jump guard. I'll pull a guillotine. He's going to have to fight out of it. I'm not in side control or anything like that, or he doesn't have side control over me. So, you know, maybe that's something there. But the reason I picked him was because he's reckless in the striking, of which, by the way, he was doing quite well in the beginning of the fight. But Dustin Poirier was able to find multiple counter shots, uppercuts, right hooks. The check right hook was something I specifically mentioned in my picks video. I said I think that that's going to be problems for Benoit Saint-Denis because we have seen him be reckless in every fight he's been in. And I said, you know, he's got hit by shit that he shouldn't have got hit by against Thiago Moises and a lot of other guys. And I said, if Dustin Poirier is able to crack you the same way that Thiago Moises did, it's going to be a fucking problem. And it was, dude. He hurt Benoit Saint-Denis on multiple occasions. He was landing that check right hook all night, which is not because of the staph infection. It's because Dustin Poirier's got one of the best check right hooks in the business. And Benoit Saint-Denis does not have a whole lot of defense, okay? It is what it is, dude. Yes, the staph infection plays a part in the story. However, I don't even think it matters, dude. Benoit Saint-Denis showed us that he is up there, in my opinion. I don't think this is like a complete and total fraud check, dude. Dustin Poirier, much like Jack Della Maddalena, just is that fucking guy, pal, okay? And you don't want to take a clean check right hook from Dustin Poirier. Just point blank period, dude. But Benoit Saint-Denis, for a lot of that fight, was able to dominate Dustin in the grappling department. At one point, he had it flattened out, right? And then he rolled over to his back kind of up against the cage, was fishing for a choke and shit. Like, he had very good moments in this fight. He had good moments in the striking even. Dustin up against the cage, plum clinch, knee and Dustin in the face, right? Benoit Saint-Denis showed that he is very good, right? And I don't think that this is going to hurt his stock a whole lot, but I also don't think that the staph is the reason he lost. I think it could be part of it, right? Maybe the fight goes a little bit longer, but he's going to be getting tagged by that right hook regardless, until he fixes his defensive holes in the striking department. So, great fucking win for Dustin Poirier. Another thing that I mentioned in my picks video was that Dustin Poirier has never lost 2 fights in a row. Not once in his entire career. And aside from Michael Johnson, in the last decade, he has only lost to, like, the elite of the elite champions, right? And he always bounces back and gets victories. And a lot of people, I think, counted him out because of the way he lost his last fight against Justin Gaethje. And honestly, fair enough, that was a brutal fucking knockout. So it made it all the much sweeter to see a guy like Dustin, who I know a lot of people can't stand, right? But a vet who has put on countless very exciting performances for us, come back and get a knockout win like that after being flatline KO'd, right? Just you know, a few months back or what have you. So great performance by Dustin Poirier. I'm not going to shit on Benoit Saint-Denis. I think he did quite well. And, you know, it is what it is, dude. It was a big jump up in competition. I'd like to see him go back and fight a few guys maybe ranked closer to him, and we'll go from there. So it is what it is, dude. Moving up the fucking card, okay, to the main event. This has gone on a lot longer than I thought it would, but a lot of these fights were phenomenal, and I've got a lot to say about them, okay? Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera. Now, I picked Sean O'Malley by decision, and a lot of people were shitting on me all fight week in my chat saying he's going to fucking sleep Chito. Marlon Chito Vera, in my opinion, has the best chin pound for pound in the entire UFC, right? You could say Marvin Vettori, maybe, guys like that. That knee would have put out fucking anybody. Anybody. That was as brutal as it gets. Sean O'Malley had a phenomenal performance. And it also, in my opinion, showed us that Sean O'Malley's power is real, not just when he can land the perfect shot on a guy like Aljo rushing into the counter right hand. Because the way Chito's face looked, we've never seen before, by the way, right? Corey Sandhagen outstruck him close, numerically speaking, to what Sean O'Malley just did. And Chito's face looked less damaged than Corey Sandhagen's did. Dude, it looked like Sean O'Malley unleashed a whole hive of bees on Marlon Chito Vera. His face was unbelievably swollen. Like, this man's been an alcoholic for the past fucking 30 years or something, right? Unbelievable. The amount of damage that he was able to do to Marlon Chito Vera. Something else that I thought was very impressive. I know a lot of people shit on Chito. They say he's a fucking bum. He's not good. All this and that. Whatever. He is good, in my opinion. I think he's underrated a little bit. I think his fanboys might overrate him a little bit, which can be annoying to a lot of people watching the sport, and I completely and totally understand that. But I think there's a lot of people that discredit him for things that I don't think are totally valid. But it is what it is, dude. I think he's pretty good defensively speaking, right? He's good at rolling with shots, good at not taking shit clean. He's good at countering in the pocket, like slick, not super flashy. So I think a lot of it goes unnoticed. But regardless, dude, something that it really impressed me from Sean O'Malley is that we've seen him be on the offensive against guys that he knows, like, he can style on, like a Chris Moutinho or a Travis Almeida or what have you, right? Thomas Almeida, pardon me. Travis Almeida's a fat fuck I went to school with. Don't know why I got stuck in either way, dude. Sean O'Malley showed us that at a high level, because regardless of what we say, Marlon Chito Vera was ranked 5th or 6th, right, coming into this fight. He can do both. So against Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley's completely accepting of taking the back foot, lateral movement along the outside of the octagon, and waiting for an entry from Aljamain Sterling so he can snipe him with a counter shot. He is also then capable of systematically breaking down a guy who is trying to do what he's trying to, like, Chito Vera was trying to counter Sean O'Malley in many parts of this fight. Sean O'Malley showed us he can go forward or he can stay back and counter you. This was a amazing, dude. In the first couple minutes, Marlon Chito Vera was staying very responsible, not biting on feints and what have you. Sean O'Malley found a way to split his guard, and once he did that, it just built on it and built on it and built on it. The straight left hand he would lead with from the southpaw position, beautiful. That, in my opinion, was what started the momentum right off for Sean O'Malley, because once he started doing that, then he was able to get Marlon Chito Vera biting on his feints. Sean O'Malley came out southpaw so that the calf kick wasn't necessarily there, and oftentimes they were switching stances, following each other a little bit, so Sean O'Malley was basically keeping that lead leg away from Chito. If he wanted to throw a leg kick, he would have to go inside. Now, there were a few calf kicks landed by Chito, but not what a lot of people expected, I don't think. Sean O'Malley was very cognizant of that, in my opinion. And he just built from there, man. Unfucking believable. The disparity in strikes in this fight is crazy. I thought it was going to be a little more slower paced than this. I thought Sean O'Malley was going to be a little bit more reserved, but I think that once he realized he was able to get out of the pocket before Chito was able to counter, he was going for it, dude. And you could tell he wanted to get a finish, which I do appreciate, man. I don't really like Sean O'Malley's personality. A lot of people don't like his personality, but the dude can fucking fight, okay? He is an unbelievable striker, both on the offense or on the defense when he's waiting to counter against high-level dudes. Chito Vera is a high-level dude, regardless of what you fucking think. And against a guy who is one of the division's toughest. The division's toughest. Marlon Chito Vera is the toughest man, maybe in the entire UFC. Unbelievable, dude. I mean, I don't know what else more I can say about the Sean O'Malley's footwork was stunning, okay? His everything, phenomenal performance. Phenomenal. And honestly, dude, I know that they're not comparable all that much, but I think that we'll see him be on the back foot against MOROZ, and I think that he'll be able to counter him on an entry. MOROZ gets hurt in every single fight we've seen him in. or not every, that might be a slight exaggeration, but we did just see him get rocked by Henry Cejudo. We saw him get almost finished by Marlon Moraes. Like, dudes can hurt him, right? Sean O'Malley can crack. He's very fast. His timing is perfect. And again, he can either count, he can play both roles, which I like, man, from a striker. I like that a lot because we don't just get a bunch of boring distance leg kick victories, right? He's going for it. And even in that 5th and final round when he's trying to get a finish, still up 4-zip, trying to get a finish in round 5, and risks his self, dude. At the very end of that fight, Chito Vera landed a nasty liver shot, like nasty, and it hurt Sean O'Malley. And had there been a minute left, who knows? Do you know what I mean? But Sean O'Malley did that smart, didn't go and engage in that kind of crazy fight up until the last few seconds because he was trying very hard to get a finish. And again, man, whatever you think of his personality, the whole gimmick, the fucking hair, all of it. All of it. The dress, it looks like, dude, he looked like the Grinch who stole Christmas on press conference day, right? All that shit. The dude can fucking fight, okay? Unbelievable. Very great performance by Sean O'Malley. And, yeah, man, I'm going to give credit where it's due. You know, I don't like him. The Topuria fight is exciting. I would prefer him to see, I would like to see him fight Merab Dvalishvili because I feel like if you can't stop Merab from taking you down, I feel like a guy who has had 6, like, finishes at lightweight will be able to if he feels like threatened on the feet at all in Ilia Topuria. So I would like to see the Merab fight first. I would like to see Ilia defend his belt, and then after that we can talk about it. You know what I mean? Because he is very long compared to Ilia Topuria, and I do respect the fact that he wants to fight him because it is scary, dude. We just saw him absolutely fucking slump one of the greatest featherweights we've ever seen, and it is what it is, dude. But either way, dude, in my opinion, this was a phenomenal card, right? There were a few maybe more boring fights. Mateusz Gamrot responsible for that. But hey, dude, great card. Good for Sean O'Malley getting the job done. Good for Dustin Poirier. Get all these dudes. Fuck yeah. Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.